had of all of our mother tongues. So shout out to everybody who is joining us globally. Okay, so just to name a few places, we definitely got the United States represented. We've got the DMV represented. We've got Texas represented. We've also got Chile in the house. We got Suriname on the house. We got India coming up later. So we definitely have a lot of folks tonight, and we cannot wait to share with you this art. Now, before I move forward, I do want to give a big shout out to American Poetry Museum in Washington, D.C. You know, they are a great space putting together a lot of programming for the community, bringing together the arts, bringing together poetry and the visual arts and the discussion around that. So always shout out to American Poetry Museum for putting on this series and allowing us to have this space. Big shout out to Mr. Sammy Miranda, who is always playing a big role behind the scenes and making sure that the APM programming is on point. So you may have noticed that we did not have a Mother Tongues in August, and I'm going to tell you why. We were hard at work working on these upcoming readings and this upcoming programming. So make sure to go ahead and like the American Poetry Museum Facebook page to stay up to date on new events that are coming up and ways that you can connect with the museum. Okay, and I will be dropping a link in the comment section if you feel so inclined to donate to the space and make sure that we can keep this programming going for the community. Okay, so make sure you go ahead and check out that comment section. Speaking of the comment section, we can't hear you. We're on Zoom. We're virtual, right? So as always, be sure to put your love in the comments with the reaction buttons. Don't be quiet in that comments, okay? That's the only way we know that you are here with us, that you're enjoying us, and that you're feeling what we're saying. Okay, so we want to see that love in the comments represented. We want to know who's watching us. We want to know who's here with us, okay? So I'm assuming y'all are ready to get started. Are my readers ready to get started? Yeah? Okay, all right. So first up, we've got a fellow local DMV artist. Give it up for Caleb.
So hi, I'm Caleb. I'm going to start off with a short poem titled Ruby, My Dear. Please tell me, was that your voice whispering the cricket's song deep in the night? That soft breath passing over me as I lay in bed, was that you? Coming home the other day, I looked up at the sky. So, was it you who took the wind and sculpted the drifting clouds to make sure I didn't forget? Right. The next one I've got is called The Gift. Gold light paints the air like a clipped canvas. My figure stands alone. My hands form a cup, palms facing the sun, ready to receive a stream of precious coins or perhaps a few drops of something more valuable. I wait for the gold rays to collect, and when I feel their warmth settle on my skin, the trap springs shut, hands clasped in a ball, the way I'd done as a boy, playing in the backyard. A caterpillar, 2 or 3 coins in length, squirming against my palms. I ran to my sister, throwing my hands open with a giggle, the caterpillar landing in her hair. But now I run home, hands pressed together, airtight, so nothing escapes. When I burst in the door, you turn, look at me as if I finally lost it, ask what I've brought in the house. I grin, remain silent, and wait for you to lean in, then slowly open my hands. There is no light, but perched on my palm, a butterfly opens its golden wings.
That was beautiful, Caleb. I feel
Thank
like
you.
that's the kind of poetry that is good for like one of those like lazy Sundays, or like you're just like getting ready for bed, you just want to chill out. That's how I feel that kind of poetry is. That's that feel good kind of poetry. So thank you for that.
I do have one more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
This one's pretty short too. It's called Tea Round Midnight. Sitting across from you, I watched the steam unfurl from two cups, veils of vapor carrying sweet scents, pale, silent flames. My eyes follow a swirling wisp as it rises, curling around itself, until from behind it, your eyes grab hold of mine. A smile, then another, and we are steam rising, climbing as we dance with the breeze, till finally arriving at the crescent swing that hangs above the clouds. We sit, still wrapped together, not wanting to let go. The night carries up a song from a lone musician, notes soft and warm as the lips he longs for. Before you, I knew that pain well, and after you leave, I will be left here to slowly sink down to earth.
That was beautiful. Again, that's definitely like that dreamy kind of poetry. Caleb, where can people find you at?
Um,
Are you on social media?
yes, you can find me on Instagram
Okay.
at CA21EB.
All right, y'all heard that at CA21BB. Okay, so make sure to keep up with Caleb. All right, next up, we've got Texas in the house. I'm assuming San Antonio, but I don't know if that's right. So we're gonna let him speak for himself. Give it up for Gabriel.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Gabriel Gonzalez. I'm originally from Uruguay, and I live in the Rio Grande Valley now, in Harlingen, which is really close to Brownsville. And I'll be reading two poems from this book, Ese Golpe de Luz, which is edited by Flower Song Books, or Flower Song Press, actually. And Eduardo Vigaurre, who's also here, is the editor for that press, and he's doing really a great job with it. And I will read in Spanish. The book is in Spanish, and that's my mother tongue. So here goes the first one. Busco decirte. Busco decirte cuánto te quiero, de verdad. No cuánto te quiero en flores o en estrellas, en soles o en mares, sino de verdad. Busco decirte cuánto te quiero cada vez que te pones a lavar los platos, pero me distraigo doblando la ropa. Cuánto te quiero cada vez que pones a hervir agua para los fideos, pero me ocupo ordenando el living. Busco decirte cuánto te quiero cada vez que te sentás con las niñas, ayudarlas con los deberes, pero se me pasan las horas frente al teclado en el trabajo. Cuánto te quiero cada vez que te levantás temprano a aprontar a las niñas, pero las palabras se me olvidan preparándote el mate. Busco decirte cuánto te quiero cuando de noche nos sentamos a ver la tele, pero en vez me pongo a acariciarte la espalda. Busco decirte cuánto te quiero cuando pasan los años y la cintura se nos ensancha y los huesos se nos ablandan. Busco decirte en una palabra, no que te quiero flores y estrellas, soles y mares, sino que te quiero suelas gastadas y losas quebradas, fines de mes apretados y aguinaldos anhelados, plegarias bajo la luna y canciones junto a la cuna, conversaciones consecuentes y momentos intrascendentes. Busco decirte que te quiero no con el amor del cine, sino con el amor del que dice, aquí estoy y a esto vine, con el amor que se hace caminando y conversando, creando y criando, creyendo y siendo. Es decir, busco decirte cuánto te quiero de verdad. So that's the first one. And then I'll read a second poem and wrap it up with that. This one is called Sin Lugar a Dudas. And I wrote this a while back, but in the context of the pandemic with all those people we love, so this reading goes for them. Esta fugaz existencia es el fogonazo flotante de un faro en la noche sin confines. Es ruido entre dos silencios, es luz, o mejor dicho, es un bemol visible. Visto esto, vista ella, sin lugar a dudas, lo importante vendría a ser la vida, ¿verdad? Y en ese destello que transcurre entre el primer llanto expectante y el último suspiro vacilante, todos vivimos como si algo, como si alguien, el nacimiento, esa muerte necesaria, nos inicia en el sendero de llantos sentidos, risas y placeres sufridos, y nos lleva de regreso a la muerte, ese nacimiento insalvable. Durante esos instantes terrenales, descubrimos que los sueños nos alegran de noche, que los niños dan trabajo y alegran, que las pesadillas nos aterran de día, que los viejos dan trabajo y entristecen, que el hoy es el ayer del mañana. Algunos nos enamoramos 7 veces, 7 veces 7. Algunos nos enamoramos una vez, para toda la vida. Otros no nos enamoramos. Todos regalamos mentiras por piedad. Todos escondemos rencores en el desván. Hay quienes llegan a odiar. Somos, en fin, bandadas de rarae aves, rasando en eternos giros insospechables el fondo del cielo. Todo entre un llanto y un suspiro de luz. Ese golpe de luz, vale decir, la luz de ese golpe, de algún lado viene y a alguna parte va. Fue una corriente invisible antes de su luminoso estallido, y aunque pronto se desvanezca de la memoria de la retina, seguirá en su viaje de energía y partícula hasta los confines de la noche sin confines. Thank you.
That was absolutely beautiful. You know, one of the reasons why, we wanted to do this multilingual open mic is to show the diversity that we have in our community, not only in DC, but just in, the overall broad spectrum of literature and globally, right? And I think that, people are so accustomed to wanting to understand everything and not trying to take a moment to just appreciate the art for what it is, the art. And, I do have the fortune of understanding what you said, but I hope that people were able to appreciate your poem either way, because it just sounds so beautiful. I mean, we have a personal chat going on in this Zoom, and, people were saying it's like a waterfall, your words, and it's true. It's so fluid and it's so rich and it's so smooth, and it just kind of like falls together, and it's just so beautiful. And that's one thing I appreciate about, different languages, right? Because, you can actually listen to the language rather than listening to respond or listening to defend yourself or whatever the case. You're just breathing in the language. So I love that. And
Thank you so much. That warms my heart.
oh, thank you. And by the way, Gabriel and I are pressmates. Okay, so shout out to Flower Song. We've got Edward in the house, and he'll be reading for us later on. So if you don't know about Flower Song, you'll know tonight. So, by the way, Caleb and Gabriel, you guys are getting some love in the comments section. So you can't hear the applause and you can't hear all the love that you're getting, but you're getting a lot of love in here. Okay, and I see some people are already excited for our next readers that are coming up. Okay. So keep the comments going, keep the reactions going. We love it, okay? All right, so next up, we've got our first international poet of the night, okay? She actually had the good fortune, and Sammy had the even better fortune of meeting her in person, but she was able to come to the American Poetry Museum a couple of years ago, and we were talking about, the beautiful part of being in this virtual space, that we can be back together again. So I want to welcome you all to Ruth.
Hi, my name is Ruth. I'm from Suriname, South America, and I'll read. The new normal. Feeding on memories of there and then is the normal way of life now. Hugs are of air. Forbidden love always took place in thoughts, nothing new. The normal is now marked in 2-meter distance, smells like 70% hand sanitizer, kisses are muscle, eyes do the touching. The normal is now live on memories if you can. Now, please. That was the first. And since I'm not making memories, I'll share one. What's in that bag, ma'am? My backpack is filled with sweaty flashes, me walking down and up the hills of Seattle, LA, San Francisco, DC, landscapes of brown and black tears and sweat, in search for postmodernism, looking away as reality would open up her hands for a dime. I secretly took the shampoo bottles from Marriott, 37 milliliters. Do I need to open the bag? My backpack is filled with monumental selfies, selfies of lies and half uncertain truths, imaginations of my ancestors' brothers and sisters, naked and on sale, picking cotton and humming songs of a white god, filled with turbulences in humanity from 1400 and above, of indigenous rage, slavery traumas, identity crises, who is what, who is not, who am I, who is Asian, who is Indian, who is Latino, who are you? My backpack is pregnant with the house of Baldwin, Ginsberg, Morrison, Sammy, and Pippa's base. Group selfies, 17 stories from other walks on this earth, stuffed with ideas on how to, hugs and smiles of sympathy, water bottles and books, 30, 40, 60 maybe? 25 kilos. You can go now, ma'am. Will I be able to unpack?
Yes, Ruth. Oh my goodness. That was so you know your first one very relatable, right? And then your second one speaking some truth right there. And that last line, will I be able to unpack?
Yeah.
I think that's a question a lot of us ask when we have those kinds of experiences. That was absolutely beautiful. And your wordplay in there. That was beautiful. Oh my God. So, and by the way, I hope this will be a positive memory for you. You said you're not making memories. Hopefully this will be a good one. I'm hoping. And also another shout out to you. You've got a lot of fans in the comments as well. Okay. We've got some love from Seattle. We've got a lot of love in here. Okay. It's like woot woot, fire emoji, love, you know. I don't know what kind of I don't know how I'm just finding out about you right now. So, but I'm glad I've been introduced to you. All right. So, as I mentioned, keep the love coming in the comments. I'm definitely reading it. And I know everybody who is reading tonight will go back and read these comments and appreciate your love and feel seen. Okay. So, we are going to keep it moving. All right. Y'all ready for some more poetry? I hope so. You're not responding, but I think you are. So, next up, we've got from Chile. You could call him Edward Gonzalez. You could call him Edward G. Or you can also call him Ed G. Give it up for Ed G.
All right. How's everybody going? Yeah, I was born in Cuba. Spent most of my life in the US, and I've been living in Chile for 10 years now. So I've kind of gone native here. And I've discovered my love for writing in English and Spanish, right? So both my poems tonight are going to be bilingual. So I'll be code switching in the poems. All right, the first poem is called Mother Tongue. Mother tongue, mother body parts, decompose your mother, the mother in you. You were wombed before you were born. And even then you were mothered, always mothered. What it's like, what is it like to come from someone else? In the words from that tongue, mother taught, mother fed, esa entonación de jodedera, porque aquí hay calor y todos estamos sudando y no me vengas con el cuento tú bien sabes, no te lo puedes meter. Hay hasta manuales instructivos de cómo hacerlo, por favor. Mother, your lips, you press your lips together, rubber on pavement, ball on hardwood, you let that press go, and as your tongue slides in place and yet displacing the way parachutes dance with gravity, you roll in that ah, more mama, then mother, the ah that never fully fades, that old vowel, that first vowel, lengua materna, como un periodo, una etapa, la etapa materna de la lengua, o quizás una zona de tu lengua, un punto donde se cruzan las papilas gustativas con una selva de sabor en miniatura, ahí, donde el sabor se confunde con sabores pasados y sabores de otros lados, bittersweet, salty, sour, co-gustado, coarticulado, sharing, space, saliva, spoken. All right, that's the first one. And then I'm going to read one called The Stranger, El Forastero. The Stranger, El Forastero. From nowhere in particular, portátil, like a tent, a sleeping bag, rolled and unrolled, y en ese acto de enrollo y desenrollo, I lay out my who y me acuesto en mi quién. Trees don't say much about me, ellos viven preocupados de raíces, prefiero los barcos con sus anclas, también enrollados y capaces de soltarse, for a while, keeping me here, floating without drift. Ship attaches to other things, relations, friends, each with their own anchors, cada uno con un peso diferente. I've heard songs about homelands, obsessed with soil, hungry for the fruits of a given space. Those on ships live on a different diet, elusive fish and shielded crustaceans. I won't yearn an origin, sin un don de regresar o extrañar. It's about the crew inside the boat, about who boards and disembarks. He escuchado canciones de amor demasiadas, ofreciendo la luna como astronautas dementes o un encaje de partes con juguetes descompuestos que el amor promete conectar, o varias intervenciones médicas involucrando el corazón, un trasplante, una transfusión, una apertura del pecho y un arranque violento, but too much like sticking hands in the dirt. Farming's not for me. I offer only a visit, maybe lifelong, maybe seasonal, a dock in your bay, a stay in your space, a place, my place, where trees are for shade and you can weigh what you want, come aboard. Let's gut these fish together. I can be your suffix, but never your root. I can be here, but not from here. Quizás hable tu idioma in my way, siempre con un acento un poco no de aquí. Dicen que hay una isla donde hay gente como yo. Someday I'll sail there, guided by unclaimed constellations, circle its shore, swimming at beaches, talk to the locals, a ver si suenan como yo, si aman como yo, a ver qué piensan de sus corazones, si también ambulan como sufijos, like mats you can lie on, como las cosas que incluyes en tu viaje por tú mismo. That's it.
Yo.
Thank you.
Okay, so if I don't see some more fire emojis in this comments, I see a few, but this deserves all the fire emojis. Like, Ed, why didn't you prepare me for this when we were talking earlier?
I wasn't aware. I had to prepare.
Like, you're so chill, like when we talk and everything, and then you just come out like bam, 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 bam. Like, okay, first of all, your wordplay, fire. Your musicality, on point. Like I heard the music in my head as you were reciting your poetry, and that's not something that can be taught. That is something that just like comes from within. So shout out to that, man. I hope you come back to us one day, you know, in another mother tongues or in another reading or whatever that it may be. Do you have any projects out? Do you have a way we could connect with you more?
Yeah, there's several things. I'm working. I work for la Universidad Católica in Chile, and I'm actually working on a bilingual anthology. So you can check us out on Instagram, Antología Poética UC. So Antología Poética UC, that's the Instagram. I have a website too. You can, it's Poesiando Dos Idiomas, two, the number, poesiando2idiomas.com.
I like it.
The place to go there. And yeah, I have a bi-weekly poetry get together too. Juan's actually part of it. So yeah, that's.
So y'all don't tell anybody anything? I see you, Juan. You're over there being all quiet. This is all about building community, y'all. No, but for real, like I really loved your poetry, and I always love a good bilingual poem. So I look forward to hearing more and reading more of your work.
Thank you. I'm happy I found this place. So it's very good. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're welcome anytime. So Edward just called him out, and now I'm gonna call him out because he's next up. So give it up for Juan, also from Chile, at least based in Chile.
Hi, thanks a lot. Yeah, also from Chile. I lived in Wisconsin a couple of years when I was very small, so I got some English in me, and I got an English and a Spanish poem. This poem is about stars, like the ones that are made of hydrogen and shine and will live for like a long time and then explode and die. And not about stars like in famous people, who will probably not explode yet also die. If I read everything I've bought, there'd be a probability of being smart. Because all I have read has been through my nose, and with a quintessential lack of understanding. Probability is what stops me from becoming a notorious B.I.G. in the limelight because I rhyme tight, end quote. Probability of being something I am not yet aware of my belongings. Something I can't become, something I am not. Sorry, Granny, I'm not like what you store. Sorry, Granny, I'm not like what you eat. Sorry, Granny, I have no feet because I eat shit. My intellect lacks the force of labor. My intellect lacks the force of labor. My internet lacks the force of labor. For sitting to working to doing is not something done by millions. Done as in finished by the time it airs. And stars worked up sitting. Stars got up towards proactivity, activity which enhances the brain and creates new experiences through intense research of a minimal mind, the size of a grape's butt. Teeny, meeny, miny, mo, I would wish to be a hoe. A mind which is said by many, not mentioned directly, but as always cited seriously, religiously, comprehensively. Please do not hesitate to check below. To be understood, to labor and force. References: The Notorious B.I.G., Juicy, and The Inevitable Heat Death of the Universe. And this is my Spanish one. El estrés de una sandía. Ojos con sangría, problemas en clavos, dolor, rollos de naranjas, angustias de canela. No te entiendo, te juzgo, no te veo, me asusto, no te hablo porque a veces me olvido de que es importante dejarte llevar por el mar y clichés más fomes o cochinos, llorar por compasión, llorar sin emoción. Sentimentalistas, perdedores, racionalistas, perdedores. Yo, el perdedor. Ay, bebé, ¿y no vas a hablar de mí? Tú no hablas un discurso disperso porque tú tienes las weas medias claras. Yo lo pierdo cada vez que abro el refri, yo lo pierdo cada vez que meto la ducha, yo lo pierdo cada vez que me toca hacer serio, yo me pierdo. Así que no. No voy a decir nada nuevo, no voy a afirmar nada tuyo, no voy a fumar nada bueno, no voy a saltar a nada, no voy a limpiar más, no voy a estudiar nada, no voy a decir lo que creo, no voy a mentirte ya. Porque mi compás motor me falló hace tiempo. Mi chakra centro hipotalámico dejó de producir lisurgenia y estabilidad y mis ojos visores se fueron a huelga por no tener sentido calificable. Pero por el poder que me confiere este magistrado, y en defensa de imaginarse problemas, decido armar un combinado de clonas con azúcar y darme un baño de cerveza bien tibia, rica, la weá, una atrocidad. Ideas nacen del parto que dio luz al Salvador sin dientes, que lleno de sirvientes se mató igual. No por mí, no por ti, ni por todos los compañeros. Al no confiar en ti mismo, creo redes generativas de amores sobrevalorados. Porque la luna culiada no miente y está ahí siempre. Yo no, Yoko Ono cantaba como una mierda. Pero eso no importa si lo hace. Aunque suene feo, estaba hecho. Ojos de cereza encerrados, encertados, cercados y cerrados a toda posibilidad de autoperdonamiento espacial. Oye, pero si te amo, mentira, no sé, en volada, puta, ya fue, porque la máquina intermitente me falla y nos miente, el conde Pátula es hiriente. El elemento sorpresa ya no existe, el monstruo del pantano nunca fue humano, y todo está ahí encima para que lo revisiste, lo llevís, lo guardís, lo leas, lo analices, te lo comas, lo asimiles, te enfermes, lo retrujemos juntitos, tomaditos de las manos. Gracias. Apoyo Convención Constituyente, Piñera asesino.
So dope, Juan. So dope. I mean, like, I gotta admit, like, after hearing Ed G, I was like, okay, like, Juan is about to come with some fire too. And you did not disappoint. You know, I see fire emojis in the comments too. I see a lot of hearts. I see beautiful comments, you know. Honestly, yeah, you can give love back. That's cool. No, but honestly, like and if you see the chat in our Zoom, I mean, it's like that wordplay, that repetition. Like you guys definitely have that wordplay, that musicality. That you guys are on point with that. So I'm definitely excited to hear more of your work as well, Juan. So let's keep it connected, okay? You guys are the APM fam, all right? All right. So we're gonna keep it moving. We only got a couple more people left. Okay. So I hope you guys have some more energy for a little bit more poetry. You are not gonna be disappointed. As I promised at the beginning of all of this, I said these artists were coming to share their work, and it's good work, it's amazing work. And so far we haven't been disappointed. And from what I know about the upcoming people, you're not going to be disappointed with them either. So I'm excited to hear them. I hope you're excited to hear them as well. Next up, we're going to give a very warm welcome to another DMV local. She's new to the area, but she is a local, and she's also part of the Flower Song family. So please give a warm welcome to Sarah Joy Thompson.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. So good to be here, and thanks for holding this space for us to all read and share poetry. I wanted to just read something from my chapbook that came out last year. It's called The Everyday, the Mundane, and the Brave. This one was published by Finishing Line Press. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, perfect. All right. So this was one of the first poems I wrote that I was like, well, maybe I have like passion for this. Maybe I should keep writing. You know, when you're so early in your journey of writing poetry, I'm sure you've all had those moments like, yes, I need to do this. Maybe it's my therapy. Maybe it's my healing. Maybe I should stick to this. So this was one of my earlier poems. It's called A Lighthouse for the Youth. A lighthouse for the youth is what a mother's love is. If I never have children, who's to say I can't love as mothers love? I will love the orphans, the ones that age out of the foster care systems, the ones bereft of a hideaway, a home base, the prodigal sons, daughters, the boys who stow away on trains, the girls who sleep in older men's beds, the juveniles who are too young to wear jumpsuits but were lured into the school to prison pipelines and suffocated there. The teenage girls who hate themselves and bleed babies from their hearts into the toilet. The ones who fall off the grid, jump off bridges. I will love them as if their real parents suddenly remembered how to. I will lead them home. I will kiss them. I will hold them. With my words, I will even cry at their funerals. I mean, I do have a heart for young people. So the next poem I'm going to read is from my new book from Flower Song Press. I just got it today. This one's called Driving into Black Mountains. Shout out to Edward Bidwarner from Flower Song Press. And as you guys can see, my chapbook, you can see how small it is compared to my newer collection that just came out this year. You know, it's definitely a journey. Writing doesn't happen overnight. So I'm really honored to have this book published and to be holding it. So I'm going to read a poem from this. It's called Expressions and Marks. I'm not the only one who's been cut, and we all come undone when someone notices our scars, cracks, crevices. Surgery is not comfortable. Shape or form us a healing process, so complex to navigate. Some scars we like to keep. Others we say, I encourage you to fade. We offer small comforts on scarring. I'm so proud of you for all the treatments you have undergone, for being so positive and such a warrior. We nurture ourselves for a scar to take its final shape and color. Love the skin, newly born on the scar line, healing with tender baby nerves and no radiation protection. About a year of no sun kisses. Add gentle light massages on the scar surrounding tissues, dabs of coconut oil and honey. The scars will take on an energy of cared for, and we can wear them proudly. We share our experiences, place our palms together, holding in some emanating gleams, and from one bright spirit to another, we say, they are really beautiful. Your streaks of light brown, pink brown, and pearly. Thank you.
Sarah, your poetry is so tender. Like that first poem, I feel like it has so many overlaying important messages, you know, like for folks who can't biologically have a child, for folks who feel as though they don't have a parent in their lives. You know, it's such an important message, and it's so important for people to know that, you know, you don't have to give birth to be a parent. You don't have to give sperm to be a parent. You know, it's much more than that. That love can still be felt, and that love can still be shared. And, you know, it's really important for people to know that. And what you said about, you know, writing doesn't happen overnight, that is so true. It is so, so true. You know, you're not going to think one day, oh, I want to be a writer, and then next month you have all of these books out and everything. It doesn't happen like that. And, you know, it definitely has its cycles too. You know, it's okay not to write. It's okay to read. It's okay to not read sometimes. It's okay to write all the time, you know, whatever is right for you. And it's going to take a lot of practice. You know, it's not going to, the first poem you write will not be pretty, y'all. You're going to look back on that a few years later and be like, what was I thinking? But, you know, it's so true. So thank you for sharing that, Sarah. And that last poem too, very tender, very, very tender. Thank you for sharing. You really know how to read your poetry. So thank you for that. All right, so next up, we talked about him quite a bit through Flower Song. And I feel very lucky to know him and be part of Flower Song Books. And I feel very lucky to have met him, even though he's all the way in Texas, which seems so far away nowadays that you can't really go anywhere without worrying about what's going to happen. But for those of you who don't know, I would say that Edward and Sammy are kind of like spiritual twins, in the sense of, you know, how much they put into their artistic community and their community in general. You know, people who know Sammy, you know, Sammy is going to put on for you, and he's going to do whatever he can for APM, for the arts in DC, for his community, and he's going to put all his energy into that. Edward is the same way. Edward goes above and beyond for his people. He goes above and beyond for making sure that these voices are heard and that they're understood, not just heard, but also understood, and that they're represented well. You know, he's an amazing person to work with. He's an amazing poet. You know, don't be knocked by that, okay? Like, he definitely has words and bars. So I'm very happy that Edward is joining us today. And this is another reason why I love, you know, these virtual events, because it could bring us closer together. So everybody, please give a warm welcome for Edward.
Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you, Sammy, Miranda. Thank you, American Poetry Museum and Mother Tongues, Multilingual. What's the whole name for it?
Multilingual open mic, you good.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure, and thank you to everybody that's on here. Good to be here with you. I'll be reading 2 poems from my new collection, Pandemia and Other Poems. The first poem is titled, If Roque Dalton Were My Father. If Roque Dalton were my father. 1. We would have discussions about the lake in the sky, the longing for pupusas del Oroco as we sit and fight off the Texas heat drinking ensalada. I would be smoking and he would be writing to El Salvador with his gray hands, perhaps a poem, a song, a new anthem. If Roque Dalton were my father, he too would have left me, and I would have left to remember him by would be gunpowder, books, and that lake in the sky. 2. I would be his love, not the kind of love he's proud of, but the kind of love he suffers for. 3. We would sit in silence. We would crave it together, the halt of things, the respect for nature's song, the listening for once. Not voices, sounds together, listening for the sound of pain together, searching for the place where it is adhered to. No yelling, no screaming, no man-made sounds, just our souls when walking. The crisp whispers of our clothes when we slip into them, the sighs of the dying, and what of the marimba playing as we swallow black oysters? 4. Why do you pant? Your face tumbling downward, sinking into the ashes, my heart. I would ask about the birds and the bees. How can anyone think of making love in this fire? Sun, everything burns, the streets, the walls, our nakedness, even the entrance to heaven. Sometimes we must not even look to the skies. Clouds want to go unseen when the bell tolls at noon. And we will sit in silence on the hillside watching the smoke, listening to the sirens and gunfire, eating manguitos, trembling. 5. We have both lost good friends, written their names in the sky, poured cold beer on hot asphalt in their memory. I sometimes whistle when I think of the dead. The next poem is titled, and I'll read a short one. Let me look for it. I usually read from the book, but I notice that when I read from the book, I look away from the screen. Here it is. This one's titled Hush for Francis. My kidneys knew he was in pain. My body knew he died, but I didn't. He was a bare hands kind of guy, carrying propane tanks on his back, stopping to wipe the sweat off his brow, with his index and thumb swiping at his mustache to even it out over his lips. I do that too when I feel it growing into my mouth. No one speaks of him like before. Like before, no one speaks of him. So I write poems, I bring him back to life. I am waiting to mourn someone. I keep creating in my writings for what he was. For now though, hush. He's about to break a man's jaw for talking about me, his boy. Then he's going to go home, write a poem and create me, his son, with curly hair and his smile, his eyes, his strength, his struggle, his blood, his longing, and get it all wrong. Thank you.
You know, one of the reasons why I love going to readings and going to these events where you actually hear the writer reading their work, it adds a whole nother layer to the poem. And Edward, I've read your work before and I've heard you before, but I don't feel like I've heard you often enough. So hearing you tonight was such a treat. And I feel like it was just so enchanting. Like I just wanted to keep listening to more and more and more. And I know you do that on purpose. That's what the poem is, you know, that's the style of it, you know, that you kind of just you leave the reader, the audience, the listener just waiting like, oh, like can you please give me a little bit more, like that line, like what, like your last line, sometimes I whistle when I think about the dead. Oh, Edward. So thank you so much for that. And just so you know, guys, I did drop the link to Flower Song books in the comments. So make sure to check that out. They've got a lot of books on there. My book is on there. Sarah Joy's is on there. Gabriel, yours is on there, right? Yep, Gabriela's is on there. And we've had a few other Flower Song folks on here before. If y'all remember Natalia, if y'all remember Carolina. So all of these are Flower Song fans. So make sure you check it out and you know, support these artists however way you can. Edward, you are getting love in the comments, okay? Don't think that just because I'm not reading them out, people aren't noticing you. But you all, I mean, from what I see in the comments, I was right. And all of you guys are really bringing your A game, and our audience is really enjoying this. So I hope they could keep that energy up for our final reader of the night. And let me tell you, this woman deserves all the gold stars because it is like, so it's 7:30 Eastern time, 6:30 Central time. Homegirl is in India. It's like 4 a.m. over there. And she is joining us today. So if nothing else, she definitely deserves all the love for that. So please, please, please give it up for our final reader and our 4 a.m. trooper, VJ.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sammy Miranda, and thank you, American Poetry Museum. It is 4 a.m. here, and I must say, it's actually a perfect way to wake up in the morning. With all of these different languages in your ears, I can't think of a better way to start my day. Last month, I discovered that Toni Morrison woke up at 4 to look at the sun come up, make her coffee, and then begin writing. And I've become so much a fan of this that I now wake up early too, but I can't write. So I just sit and stare at the sky and scare my neighbors half to death. But this is a very pleasant way to start the morning. Thank you very much. So I'm really excited about reading. I'm not really good with poetry. I mostly write prose and really bad prose. But I'm very, very happy that Sammy thought of me when he made the when the idea was about mother tongues. I'm a bilingual child, meaning everyone else in the world is also pretty much bilingual, I'm sure, and everyone here is. So at my home, my father speaks Kannada and my mother speaks Konkani. It's been strange because all my life I've tried to capture English, but I never once realized that my mother tongues have so much potential. I wrote this in Konkani and translated it myself. For a while, we are children again, my cousins and I. In the house in Mangalore, where the tallest point of the slope touched sky and one section of houses bent their ears to gravity. We didn't want to sleep, but we had to. Under the angry eyes of my mother and theirs, we pretended to sleep, our eyes closed to them and open to us in every other way, grateful. They couldn't see that we were playing behind the red screens of shut eyes. I have stayed up many nights after that, but never quite like I have on that night. We lay in silence, stifling giggles because someone tried to find his way to the others and was kicked back to sleep by an awake, upset adult. Little by little, each of us managed to leave our beds and walk with our palms pressed to our mouths as if that would somehow mute our feet. We gathered in the backyard and poured laughter, all delight of a sleepless night released. Then the pointlessness set in. We had escaped sleep, the dangerous quiet it brought, and adults. Now what? We couldn't do nothing with the time we had stolen and stayed up all night for. So some of us went to gather sticks, big and small, just so our hands had something to do that early in the morning. And the others dutifully went back to sleep. So that's just a short something. I have here a prose poem kind of thing. Let me read it out. This prose poem is called Punugu Bekku. This is a kind of cat in Mangalore, found in India, which is a kind of a special cat because the shit of this cat is used to make perfumes because it smells very nice, apparently. I have never used it, but I know people who have, and they are never somehow bothered that it's shit because the fragrance is somehow very delicious. And as a young child, I had a habit of spraying myself with a lot of perfumes because I wanted to smell nice, and my mother started calling me Punugu Bekku. So this is called Punugu Bekku. I don't remember my mother's smell. Sometimes I think that she never had a smell. And sometimes I think I've deliberately forgotten her smell. I think I knew her smell better when I was small. And now I can say, for sure, I knew her smell best when I was small. Her smell would hug her clothes and never leave. After her clothes were washed and dried, they would fall into a heap on the sofa, and I would leap into them and sleep. In them, I could smell more of her than washing powder. Hers was always Pond's, Fair and Lovely, and a bit of her. I don't know what that is. Her bindi would sit angrily like a red dot on her forehead. And sometimes the bindi would fall off and her face looked very empty. So much so that my sister once told her that Indian directors like to believe that if your bindi falls, your husband has died. Amma yelled at her but couldn't stop laughing. She'd always feed us when we were very small. Once she put hot upma into my mouth, and when I started howling in pain, she blew air into my mouth to soothe it. I laughed out loudly and the upma flew onto her face and just sat there looking very dumb. No matter how sick she is, she always has the energy to show us she is sick. We know she isn't well by the way she asks for water. She sleeps like a corpse on the bed and moans. If in case we don't bring her water on time, she will pretend to get up and say, "I'll only bring it." She will not have moved even an inch. When she sings with devotion. Even an item numbered, as it were. She sings with so much devotion as if she's calling out to all the gods and goddesses. Amma calls me Punugu Bekku because I smell nice after having slathered volumes of deodorant. It seems the Punugu Bekku's shit smells really nice, so people make perfumes out of it. And I have always dreamt of smelling nice. I sometimes hide in my mother's cupboard and smell everything I can find there. Her saris always smell differently than everything else because she never wore saris. She never opened that side of the cupboard. It had a nice musty smell to it, and I taught myself to hug her saris and get the most out of it. Amma's other grandmother lives in Cochin, the hottest place here. During summer, she takes off all her clothes and sits by the door wearing nothing but just a skirt and a bra. If she still feels sweaty and hot, she takes the bra off as well, sitting just with a towel on. Passers-by are so used to the spectacle that they barely even look at this woman half naked sitting by the gate. All of Amma's relatives are reddish fair and all of Appa's relatives are reddish dark. Pa doesn't like this at all. He tries a lot to become fair like Amma by using Fair and Lovely every morning, but it never worked. He once emptied a tube full of Fair and Lovely to wear on his face. He woke up the next morning with his face burnt. And now we call Amma milk and Pa coffee. Growing up is like a curse. I grew distant from both my parents. I remember how my sister and I would force our way into Amma and Appa's bed when they would watch TV. Now there's distance between us, there's pause, and a kind of shyness that I don't understand. When I was small, the smell of my house was empty. There was too much space and nothing to smell. Now there's too much to smell, but no one to smell. Amma's smell is going away, and I'm trying to catch it. Thank you all. This has been great.
Thank you. First of all, for anybody out there who's watching and is an amateur with these readings and events, anybody who tells you before they read that they're bad, you know they're good. It's a lie. It's a lie. Vijay, that was beautiful. Like, so it was like it was prose, right? It was a story, but it was so, I don't know the word for it. It just kind of like you kind of just fell into it, right? And it was like a dream. And as you were talking, I could imagine what you were saying, and I felt like it was so nostalgic too. I feel like all of us have those scents that just take us back to a time when we were younger, that you just smell it and automatically you're like 6 years old again, and you're thinking about that person, and you could describe the whole scent, you could describe the whole person, the whole scene. So thank you for that. And
Thank you so much.
thank you for waking up this early. I applaud you for that, because I do not have that discipline. Maybe one day, but not now. And you also have a lot of love in the comments. Okay, I imagine everything beautiful. It's all so beautiful, powerful, singular and plural. So much love for all of you guys. So we have come to the end of the Mother Tongues Multilingual Open Mic. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you to all of our readers tonight. Please give it up for our readers from tonight. Thank you to American Poetry Museum for holding this space for us. Thank you to Sammy Miranda for all the background work that you do, making sure I don't go crazy and I don't look bad. And thank you to everybody who's watching us, who's sharing this video, who's commenting, who's liking, who's loving, who's sharing, and being here with us in this virtual space. So like I said at the beginning of this reading, make sure you like the American Poetry Museum Facebook page. That way you can stay up to date on what programming we have coming up. Like I said, we've been planning a few things, so keep in mind we are going to have some more readings. We do have the Mother Tongues open mic happening on a monthly basis, so keep an eye out for that. And make sure you connect with all of the artists that you saw tonight. They were all dope, so you don't have an excuse not to talk to them, not to connect with them later on. The links are in the chat, in the comments, so make sure you connect with everybody. So thank you again. Everybody stay safe and have a nice weekend. All right,